Usually when I arrive at the cabin, it's the first time I've seen it. Of course I go through and set up, make sure everything's staged right, lights are on and everything, but then I just look at the cabin and I try to find any unique features of the cabin, any cool angles that I see, like an awesome fireplace or a staircase or just little decorations that the owners put out. And I really try to, and I pride myself in this, and people have said this about me, that I tried to communicate or showcase the personality of the cabin. And not just not just get in each corner and show the room, but to actually find what the builder or the designer intended for that space.
OKLApreneur is made possible with the generous support of sponsors like
We are Oklahoma's electric cooperatives, powering the needs of new generations with safe, affordable, reliable, and environmentally responsible power.
With so much information coming our way these days, our decision-making time has become more limited. In fact, some social media platforms consider a 15-second pause on a picture to be an impression, while others consider half of that time to count. That's why professional photography has become so important to a very competitive industry like tourism and recreation. Matt Cameron of Cameron Photography has photographed many impressive cabins and homes across the Hochatown, Beavers Bend, and Broken Bow areas that are used to make first impressions memorable. Now, the cool thing is, Matt actually received a camera as a gift, and then one of his friends who is a cabin owner really needed some photos. After he had a couple of cabins under his belt, it was time to start upgrading his equipment.
Kind of looked at what I needed, and I didn't start by purchasing a new camera. I purchased actually a used wide-angle lens and started there. And once it became more of a weekly thing, I was like, okay, it's maybe time to upgrade, and made my first big investment. At the time, it hurt a little bit to spend the money, but one thing that I've learned just in my life, and especially in photography, is that you got to have the right tools for the job. Yeah. And you're going to be limited to what you can do without the right gear. I mean, it's not all about gear, but you have to have something industry standard or up to par to produce a high quality professional image. So it was definitely worth the investment now looking back, and since then I've made even several more investments like that.
Where does a photographer learn about equipment options like that? Do you subscribe to a blog? Are you just constantly searching online for different equipment options?
Yeah, so a few different ways. I'm in several photographer Facebook groups that talk about gear, that talk about shooting, even videography stuff, and answers a lot of technical questions there, and you can kind of connect with other photographers and videographers. So that's been really helpful if I have a question or something like that, and I can see what everyone else is using. And then as well, just a basic Google search. I do a lot of those of, what are the top real estate photography cameras, things like that. I've purchased a lot of gear off of those because people spend the time to research cameras that I've never heard of before, but they test them, and I mean, it's amazing what kind of information is out there just on Google.
Well, because it is an investment, and you don't want to get it and go, wow, this doesn't do what I need for real estate. It may be a great portrait photography or camera, but not necessarily for this.
Right. Yeah. I never walk into like a Best Buy or something like that and rely on the people there. They're very knowledgeable, but maybe not in the niche that I'm in. So I always realize there's a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me in this field, and I try to rely on that type of information as much as possible.
The right equipment is essential, but people hire a real estate photographer because of how they see a property. Over the years, cabin owners have depended on Matt to find that emotion that the viewer is going to feel whenever they actually visit that property. So where does Matt find his inspiration?
There's Instagrams that are very specific to cabins. Right. So I always follow those and see beautiful shots there. And I don't necessarily try to mimic those shots, but I draw inspiration from those. And then when you arrive at a property, every situation is going to be different. I'll look at a house and I'll look at the vegetation, the surrounding trees, where the sun's going to be coming up or going down, and then also the intentions of, like I said, the builder or the owner with how they've landscaped, and that'll help me to pick which angles that I shoot. You know, I always try to find a cool foreground if it's available, and I'll try to have a foreground there that I can almost shoot around, and it just creates some really cool depth in the shot. I like to use light. I always shoot just ambient light or, you know, natural light that's there. I don't bring any lights with me for my real estate shoots. Some people do, but I like to turn all the lights on and use the sun or the stars or the moon and the cabin lights, and just kind of show the most natural perspective to a viewer.
Because really, you want it to be what they're going to experience whenever they get there.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you want to enhance things and, you know, brighten colors and things like that. But yeah, I want to create a realistic view that's appealing to the eye. You know, I like to call my work natural plus.
Ah, that's good. That's really good. Whenever you look at photography of a place in a magazine, do you look at it differently now?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I notice all the things that I would have done either differently,
right,
or that I'm going to do on my next shoot.
Right.
You know, and in magazines you see all of these perfect pictures of a house or whatever, and you can see the little details that they put. I work for a real estate, like a property designer, interior designer, and she actually taught me a lot. She calls it activating the shot. So I really like the term activation. She'll probably see this and she'll love that I said that, because we laugh about it all the time. I always talked about activation. And what I've noticed, and if you look at any magazine now, you'll notice it's all natural light, but then there'll be like a pair of boots by the door or a towel hanging on a hook. And basically what I've noticed is you want to show that property in that light as an interior designer, as if it is being lived in, and you want to show it like it was your house. You know, that it's beautiful, but it's also functional. So that was something cool that I've learned, and I always notice the shot activation now in magazines.
How much has an interior designer helped you learn about what they're looking for, or what they had in mind whenever they designed that area?
A lot. And honestly, this is something new that I learned, that real estate photography, like if you have a property that you're trying to rent out, that type of photography is much different than an interior designer photography.
That's true.
Because they are, the interior designer is focused on the small details, the design, the furniture, and the real estate customer is more focused on the functionality. Of course, you want aesthetics, you want a beautiful property, but they want you to see that your family can sit around here.
Right.
And the designer side is more of, look how this piece fits next to this piece. And so you have to kind of learn the ins and outs, and the designers were so kind to teach me that and show me that along the way. The shot activation, you know, it was really eye-opening to realize, because you think, well, I'm photographing a house, what could be different about it? But it's a different niche, and you have to know kind of your customer's end goal when you start the shoot, so that you can shoot to highlight, you know, what they're trying to do.
Now, those are some great tips for taking the right photos and knowing your customers, which are both very important. But Matt has found that it's a learning experience as he's grown Cameron photography.
Wow. Over the last couple of years, this has changed a lot. When I first started out, it was easy. I got a phone call and I jumped up and down. Somebody called me and I could answer it, and I could, you know, it was no stress.
Right.
You know, now 5 years later, by the grace of God and good stewardship, I have a lot of people that call me on a daily basis, and it gets complicated, and I've just recently had to streamline a few things, outsource a few things to be able to keep up with the demand. There for a little while, right before I made this shift, I knew it was time to get a little bit smarter on the business side, when I started missing emails, missing calls, not getting back with people, because stuff would literally just get buried. You know, and I'm trying to photograph a property. Here's the day that I knew. I photographed a property and I had 18 missed calls while with a customer at the property. And my phone is just going crazy in my pocket, and I could just feel the stress just welling up inside of me. And I knew that other people were frustrated with me because I wasn't able to follow up with them in a timely manner. So that I knew, okay, I got to change and restructure the business side. You know, it's not just me showing up and photographing, there's so much more. So I downloaded and created a new booking site. It has transformed everything about my business, because before, to schedule an appointment, someone would call me and say, hey Matt, when are you available to shoot? That's always what they say. Yeah. So then I have to look at my calendar in the foreseeable future and say, well, this time, or this time. And then once we got it scheduled, then I have to say, okay, what are the directions? Okay, what's the entry code? Stuff like that. And this app, once they see my calendar, they can see when I'm available, they can book it on their own, and then all those questions are asked to them automatically, and it has cut out so much back and forth conversation for me. So that has been a definite game changer in my business. I've had to begin outsourcing some editing, stuff like that, and that's saved me a lot of time. So definitely I'm learning to work smarter and not harder in this case, and I feel like it has definitely helped my longevity in the business for sure.
Well, because in the beginning, you were just interested in, you know, getting the photos and then getting paid. And then now it's time is money. And the more opportunities to streamline, to be efficient, it allows you to focus more with the client and get the better, higher quality images that you're looking for.
Absolutely, and not to mention time with my family.
That's true.
That's been a big issue. And my wife and my kids, they have been so graceful with me in this, you know, and they celebrate the success that I've seen. But it has been an issue because, you know, when you get to a certain place where you have more customers than you can really handle, it was easy for me to sacrifice more and more family time. And this app, this new booking method, has kind of given me a safety net to block out time for family, to date my wife, to play with my kids. And to any business owners out there watching this, that is super important. And that's something that I've, you know, just recently and still learning, that you can have a successful business, but if it destroys what you have at home, what do you really have, you know?
We want to say a special thanks to Matt Cameron of Cameron Photography in Ho Chi Town for sitting down with us and sharing what he's learned about building a photography business over the past 5 years. We also want to say a special thank you to the Oklahoma Association of Electric Cooperatives for their continued support of OKLApreneur as we learn about building Oklahoma businesses from Oklahomans who've done it. We couldn't do it without you. To see past episodes or to find helpful links to growing a business in Oklahoma, visit our website, OKLApreneur.com. Until next time, let's get down to business, Oklahoma.